Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Crimson. Today I'm bringing you guys some more Black Ops 3. This time I'm bringing you guys just another gameplay commentary. This time it's not a live commentary or anything like that, but this time it is going to be 131 kills with the Man of War on Nuketown. And I do actually believe I failed a double nuker in this gameplay, and I think I actually started this game off relatively slow as well. I do believe I was 15 and 8 in the first 40 to 50 points, I would say. I'm not exactly sure, but that was like 2 to 3 minutes where I just basically wasn't doing anything, so I could have had maybe even more kills if I actually had a good start, because like I said, I was 15 and 8, and then I only died once after that, and I finished the first round 63 and 9, I do believe. And then like I said, I failed the double nuclear because I actually went on a brutal middle in the very beginning, or I would say midway through the first round, and then I died to some guy with the Ripper who I had no idea he was there, and then I also died on another 20 gun streak to, I don't even remember what it is, but you guys will see that. But overall, still a pretty nice gameplay. So today what I actually wanted to talk about is a couple of things, and that's going to be basically how I have good movement, or how you guys can improve your movement, and whether or not I play with a Scuf controller. And I also want to talk about my sensitivity. Now these are basically frequently asked questions, so I thought I'd cover all of them within this video. So a lot of people ask me if I play with a Scuf controller, and the answer to that is no, I do not play with a Scuf controller, and I never have, although I have thought of buying one, or at least I used to think of buying one. Back when Black Ops 3 was basically coming to an end, I was thinking of buying one, but it was a lot of money and I wasn't really sure if it was going to be 100% worth it or not, because I have heard that Scuf controllers, they break kind of easily, but I've also heard that Scuf controllers are really good and they're worth it. So I decided that I would actually go to Bumper Jumper, and that's the actual layout that I play on, is Bumper Jumper, and that really helps with movement, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there are two layouts that you can use in Black Ops 3 and in Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, if you guys play those games as well, which allows you to jump with another button that isn't X, which in turn is really solid once you get used to it, because it makes you have overall better movement. So I actually switched to Bumper Jumper. I do believe it was last August. It was a few months before Infinite Warfare came out. I'm not sure why I didn't switch to it sooner, because it's been in Black Ops 3 since the very beginning of Black Ops 3, I'm pretty sure, and also since the beginning of Modern Warfare Remastered and Infinite Warfare. And basically what Bumper Jumper allows you to do is jump with L1 instead of X. So those two are basically swapped. So if you guys have played on the regular default layout with the PlayStation 4, you know that L1 or L2, regardless if you play on flipped or not, is basically usually, if you happen to use, tacticals, is to throw a tactical. So normally L1 would be to throw a stun or a flashbang or something like that, but for me that's actually X, and then to jump it's L1. So you guys may think that that's really weird and it may be difficult to get used to, but it actually is very beneficial, and it really pays off, because I would say I have pretty solid movement, and it's definitely improved my game overall. And it only took me about, I would say, maybe 5 to 7 days to get 100% used to it, just because of the fact that I used to just play on the default layout. I played on tactical, so the only difference that I had was I would knife with the right stick, and then I would lay prone, or actually opposite way around, sorry, I would lay prone with the right stick, and then I would knife with circle. But that didn't really benefit me very much at all, just because I didn't really ever punch or use the knife or anything like that. So Bumper Jumper is definitely very beneficial. I know there is also Stick and Move, which is the other alternative that sort of allows you to jump without having to use X, and that's basically with the right analog stick instead of X. So you don't have to use, basically what I do is with Bumper Jumper, I have my pointer finger on L1, which is to jump, and then I have my middle finger on L2, which is to aim down sights, and then my pointer finger on my right hand, which is to shoot with R2, because I don't actually play on flipped. If you play on flipped, then it would be the opposite way around. But the other alternative is Stick and Move, like I said, which allows you to jump with the right analog stick instead of X. So technically you don't have to do all of that where you aim down sights with your middle finger or anything like that, because you guys may think that that sounds sort of unappealing and it may sound like it's difficult to get used to, but in reality it didn't take me very long. And the thing that I like more about Bumper Jumper compared to Stick and Move is, like I said, the Stick and Move alternative is you jump with R3 or the right analog stick, and you also slide with the right analog stick, and that can create some sort of, I would say, problems. Nothing really, too major or anything like that, and you can actually configure your controllers to have the, buttons as you would like them. So technically you could jump with R3, and then you could also slide with something totally different instead of the same button that you jump with. But the problem with that is you have to do all this configuration, and you have to, really figure out how you want your controller to work, whereas with Bumper Jumper, all you have to do is use L1 and X and swap the two, and therefore you can jump, and you can kind of use your controller like a Scuf. And like I said, it's very beneficial. And the thing that helps a lot is because obviously these new Call of Duties are very futuristic, although World War II isn't going to be a futuristic Call of Duty. I'm sure it will still have bumper jumper and stick and move, and I'm still going to be using them just because the jumping ability within gunfights and all of that still helps an absolute ton. But if you guys still play these futuristic Call of Duties, they help an absolute ton, and I always see people who don't play on bumper jumper or stick and move, they just play on the default layout, and they always have such sort of weird and awkward movement, and then they immediately switch over to bumper jumper and they get used to it, and they all of a sudden have good movement, which is weird, but also, like I said, that just proves it's very beneficial. But I felt that I still had decent movement when I only jumped with X, and then when I switched over to bumper jumper and I got used to it, I have even better movement now. But that's one thing that is very beneficial, like I said, is it takes a little bit to get used to, but it does definitely help a lot, just because some people seem to not understand that movement helps a ton in these futuristic Call of Duties. It's basically nearly half of what makes some people so good at these futuristic Call of Duties is because of the fact that they have such great movement. So that's actually what I use. I may actually show you guys my entire layout on screen right now, or I may have already shown it sometime throughout this video, so you guys can also see my sensitivity. And that's another factor. It doesn't really matter when it comes to the sensitivity, that's all personal preference. Personally, I've played on a 5.5 for a couple of years now, and sometimes I've switched it up here and there, but I seem to always go back to the 5.5 because it's what I rely on the most and it's what has helped me the most, and I seem to always really play well on that sensitivity. But that's not really going to help you a ton with movement unless you play on like a 1 sensitivity. Then obviously you probably want to bump it up a little bit, just because that's just sort of way too slow. But if you play on like a 15 or something like that, or whatever it really is, then that's totally fine as long as you're comfortable with it. It doesn't really make much of a difference when it comes to good movement, but bumper jumper definitely does. Now, regarding a Scuf controller, obviously Scuf controllers, they definitely give you more advantages than a regular controller, because I literally don't have anything on my PlayStation 4 controller. I don't have any, grips. I don't use control freaks. I don't use anything. It's just a plain PlayStation 4 controller, and then of course I swapped X and L1 so that I can actually, jump while actually having, good solid movement, and I can shoot people in the air without having to take both my thumbs off of the analog sticks. But obviously the Scuf controllers do give you much more of an advantage, because there's things such as the grips, which help you hold your controller more, maybe if your hands sweat a lot when you play. Personally, mine don't. And then maybe if you guys like to use the trigger stops, which basically allows you to shoot in a faster way, because it doesn't require you to shoot the trigger down all the way, but then again, you can actually cause that to stop just by using the switched layout, which allows you to shoot with L1 and R1 instead of L2 and R2. But personally, I actually like L2 and R2 more, just because it feels more natural to me. I just personally like the triggers a little bit more, but then again, it's all personal preference. But like I said, Scuf controllers do definitely help out a lot, but it's not necessarily going to make you the better player, because for me, if I were to start using a Scuf controller, say today, and I got used to it, it wouldn't necessarily make me a better player. It would just it would allow me to have more abilities than I would right now, such as I said, the grips on the controller, and of course the trigger stops and all of that. But I feel like I'm already a pretty decent player, so I don't really need a Scuf controller, although as I said, you do have more customization and abilities. But for someone who isn't really good at the game, obviously it's not going to, increase your map awareness, or it's not going to improve your aim or anything like that, but it will allow you to have better movement as long as you get used to it. And the same thing is with bumper jumper and stick and move. And like I said, bumper jumper, it's very, very solid overall, and you don't really have to configure your controller settings or anything like that. And of course, it's way less money just because it's just on your regular default PlayStation 4 controller. And of course, you could go with a Scuf depending on if you would like to spend the money and if you feel like it's worth it or not. But me personally, as I said throughout this entire video, I really like playing on bumper jumper, and it's helped me a ton with my movement and how I've improved my movement throughout, the last couple months to the past year or so on Black Ops 3. So definitely be sure to give bumper jumper a try if you don't use it, or stick and move, or a Scuf, whichever you guys would like to go with. And I hope you guys did enjoy the video overall. If you guys did, definitely be sure to leave a like, and I am out. Peace.